Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's Virtual Employer Roundtable, Modernize Your Talent Pipeline with AI-Informed Strategy. Today, we'll be hearing from Dr. Arianna Schuler Scott from Virginia Tech, Terry Leach from Astrolytes, and Erfaan Choudhry from Astrolytes. So I'm going to hand it over to you all.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Yes, my name is Arianna. I'm going to just give you a quick overview of what we would like to be talking about today. Don't worry, we'll do intros. We'll go around the room. And then we've got a couple of polls for you. Really, the point of this is to have a conversation with other people in the room here. We have a couple of stories that we're going to talk about, and then we're going to offer some food for thought. That's going to be the meat of the discussion for this session. So we'll talk a little bit about the paradigm shifts we're seeing in the market, skills-based hiring, and AI-informed strategy. And a couple of next steps for if you would like to keep talking with us, and of course, the Cyber Guild. I would just like to ask if there's anything that anyone would like to talk about or mention before we go ahead. Terry, Erfaan.
Oh, hi, I'm Terry Leach, founder of Astrolyte. I started my career as a signals intelligence analyst, 8 years in the U.S. military. From there, I've done a lot of different things from satellite systems engineering, generally kind of a consultant, I have a bridge between business users and technical developers or staff. But I started Astrolyte 5 years ago with my good friend and co-founder, Erfaan Choudhry. Erfaan? Do you hear me, Erfaan?
Erfaan, I think you're muted right now.
You're muted, Erfaan.
Maybe I can fill in the gaps while we have a couple of technical difficulties. I can do my intro. So my name is Dr. Arianna Schuler Scott. I am based at Virginia Tech. I work in Pamplin College of Business, specifically within the Integrated Security Education and Research Center. So it means I do a bunch of different things, teaching, research. We do have sort of innovation projects and test beds as well over at Virginia Tech. We are part of a statewide network called the Commonwealth Cyber Initiative, and I help out on the leadership team in Southwest Virginia for that. Erfaan, are you back with us?
Okay. Erfaan.
Hello? So
fantastic.
I had some sound issues. I'm sorry. Disaster. So I didn't hear what we just said just now.
Yeah, introduce yourself.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So my name's Erfaan Choudhry. I work with Terry, and we're partnering with Arianna on Virginia Tech. I bring about 20 years of product management leadership and AI-driven fraud prevention, risk management, regulatory compliance, other areas. So I've had some success in generating and supporting the development of Gen AI platforms, other AI-based applications, and delivering incremental value for different companies approaching $1 billion. So I'm here working with Terry and Arianna, hoping to bridge the gap in that we've discovered, and we're trying to help with in cybersecurity talent development.
Absolutely. So just a little context for us as to why we have this event in the first place. So I'm the project investigator, so I am leading a project. It's all about modernizing talent management. And so Astrolytes and BT are collaborating because this project is all about building partnerships between organizations. And so what we're focused on is modernizing the talent pipeline with AI-informed strategy. So we're going to dig into some of the conversations that we've been having because there's a lot going on in this space at the moment, and perhaps we're going to tell some stories, demystify some of the things that we're seeing in some of these headlines, and hopefully we'd love to hear from the audience and hear about your experiences too. So I would love to hear from Astrolytes about your pre-ChatGPT work, because you've definitely been doing AI since before AI was cool.
Well, I initially met with a group of stock analysts about the problems we were having. I was very curious about what kind of solutions that they were looking for to enable them to be less less reactive and more proactive in doing their job. So I identified that really what they need is some sort of assistant. So back in 2020, this is pre-Chat GPT, I created a chatbot hosted on the cloud that took network security data and learnings to help beginning analysts come up to speed quicker on this open source platform, open source software. So I did a proposal to one of the commercial vendors for that particular network security package, and they didn't really see the need at the time. I guess I was a little ahead of their time, but that stuck with me. And what we've been really doing over the last 5 years, kind of discovering our really roots, which is we're trying to invent the future of work and learning in the cybersecurity space. That is what we're ultimately about. I joined NIST groups to learn more about the standards, NICE standards, cybersecurity standards, and that's where I met Arianna, and we partnered together for a proposal to do workforce development. So I'll give it back to Arianna.
Absolutely. Okay, and before we dive into our first poll, so we all met on a working group for a standards body. We wrote some guidance on how to write better job descriptions using the NICE framework. So if you've come across the NICE framework before, this is an example of a project that is trying to implement and use these resources that are available to us. Let's move on for now because we love a poll. So poll number 1, Elizabeth, if you wouldn't mind putting it up. What is your biggest challenge in cybersecurity talent development? We have finding qualified candidates. We have skills assessment accuracy. We have, a big concern is AI filtering out talent. Another challenge being vacant cyber roles. We have high churn and burnout. And what's the last one there? Can we scroll down? Well,
slow time to competency.
Time to competency. Oh, right. So that's what's that, Terry? Is that how long it takes to train someone from entry level to some level of competency?
Yes, it's been reported quite a few years ago that it takes up to 5 years to become competent from the beginning of your career in cybersecurity if you're not technical to some point where you really know the job. But it looks like skills assessment and accuracy is the most polled. 66 of the respondents responded to that, and finding qualified candidates is a close second with 33%.
It's looking like it. So we can see an audience chat over here. If you have access to the chat, we'd love you to just say hello, tell us what kind of sector you're from, whether you have hiring responsibility or not. It would really help because I don't think we can see the audience, although the audience can see and hear us. So if you just put a note in the chat, that would be lovely. Say hello.
The audience there.
What do you say? We'll give it another minute or so. Okay, are there any more submissions coming in, or is everyone finished for now?
It looks like everyone's finished for now, so
Okay.
I'll go ahead and keep that poll off.
Thank you. Okay, I've completely forgotten what the first two were. Terry, can you remind us?
Oh, the first one was finding accessible talent. The second is accuracy of assessments for cybersecurity talent. So 33% for finding talent, 66% for accuracy of assessments.
Okay, fantastic. Hi, Nick. Thanks for saying hello.
Yeah.
Great. So this is very useful for us. I'm interested in where people are finding talent. Where do you go to find talent? Hi, Debbie. Good to see you. Hello from the Virginia Economic Development Partnership. No direct hiring responsibilities, but we help Virginia companies find cyber talent. Fantastic. Great to meet you. So how is this going to work? Does the audience, can they unmute themselves and talk to us, or do we just use the chat for back and forth?
Just the chat for back and forth. The
Okay.
audience muted.
Fantastic. So in the chat, please, everyone, where do you find talent? If you are hiring for a role, or if you're just trying to get your job postings out there, where is it that you go? We have websites like Indeed.com, and you might have your own connections with other organizations. So where is it that you are finding talent?
Maybe that was one person replying.
Okay, let's move on. So the other question we have for you is, how are you assessing candidates? How do you do that? If you're worried about accuracy, how are you assessing job role candidates? Please post it in the chat. Awesome, thanks, Debbie. So most of our clients use traditional job boards. Fantastic. Nick, LinkedIn and employee referrals. Yes, absolutely. Networking is really, really important and something that we really work with our students here at VT to really get in a network. Leslie, hi Leslie, university placement programs, women in cybersecurity, and other industry group job boards. That's fantastic. Thank you so much for your responses. Terry, Erfaan, do you have any reflections on those?
Yeah, what is the role you're looking for talent in? What is the first role you're looking? Are they beginners, or you're looking for career talent? Maybe we can get some responses to that.
Yeah, so it's like, are you looking to for people to entering the space, or are you looking through those who are already in the space and just transitioning to other roles and areas?
Okay, thanks, Debbie. So Debbie's not sure about assessments, but is here to learn about the options. We do have an option, and your clients need both entry level and experience.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So our focus, just in working together, we have focused on entry level and career change. So essentially routes into cybersecurity jobs. So that's just to narrow things down a bit for us.
But our solutions, the way we're thinking about it, is it applies to the complete life cycle of your cybersecurity workforce. You're kind of always doing assessments. You're doing learning or skills development, reskilling, upskilling. So the solution, the way AI is going to play out in the workforce, is going to be both.
Yeah, fantastic. Nick, we generally hire only experienced consultants. Okay. Leslie, some of both. We're always looking for some newcomers who we can help mold, but there are also some roles that just require more experience. Yeah, fantastic. Thanks, everyone. Shall we move on for now? Let's.
Sure.
Okay, so we found a couple of news stories that we just thought were interesting to help illustrate the space that perhaps we're seeing right now. So Terry, I think this is your pick, so I'll leave it to you.
Oh, recently there was a lawsuit brought against he's an experienced IT person who submitted his resumes for hundreds of jobs over a year or 2 year period using Workday.
Several year period. Yeah, and it's turned into a collective action lawsuit. It's the idea that the concern is that, as we said in one of the poll options, AI filtering out candidates. What you see right now is basically seeking talent, and which is one of the options. Seeking talent in effect and in practice is filtering out talent. And now this individual and other individuals like him are concerned that Workday is taking, in this case, a discriminatory approach.
And the way it does it is you have keywords. If you don't put the keywords in your resume or some other criteria that they use, they filter out. But talent is going to be scarce. AI talent going forward is going to be a more value to a company. And keyword filtering, we need a way to augment that. And then we think AI simulations and will help in that area. So we'll get to that a little later.
Yeah, let's move on for now. I like the way this is moving. So this other story. So there was basically a typo in the applicant tracking system, and it caused every application that was coming in to be rejected. So there was, if you would like to read the story, we can send you the links to it. But essentially, this system was auto-rejecting all candidates, and it was really only after a deep dive that they got down to what was going on. And so this lack of oversight of sort of internal process is really quite a big deal. So how are we thinking about AI as a support instead of just delegating everything to these systems? So this leads us quite nicely to poll number 2. Where do you see AI in the talent pipeline? So we've talked about you're looking for slightly different roles and experiences, but where do you see the role of these AI tools or platforms even? So we have assisting job seekers, so candidates using AI to create cover letters, resumes. We have it augments the processes that the employers have, so using AI to assess candidates, but ultimately still having ownership. Automation is employers using AI to curate a candidate list. So it might say, here's the top 10 for the role, but you can still access all the other candidates. We have replacing, which is employers using AI to just automate tasks away. So I think that was, instead of having a person do a job, you can automate those tasks. So that's what replacement means. And then delegation. So an employer trusting an algorithm to make, or some solution that you've brought in-house to make hiring decisions. So those are some of our options. Where do you see AI in the talent pipeline?
I suggest viewers also maximize the screen so they can see the poll a little more clearly.
Okay, let's run with this then. So augmenting and automating. So that's where we're seeing AI in this pipeline. Tell me a little bit more. So please use the chat. Why did you pick the one you picked? Is there a close second? Is there something that is just impossible, you think? Give us a little more of a deep dive. That'd be great.
Oh, it's changing.
Yeah, wow. We like that. Real-time data.
Yeah.
Well, this also looks optimistic.
Yeah, compared to what you hear in the media every day or in the paper, it's about job loss, AI replacing, but
AI anxiety.
from what, yes, the AI anxiety of job loss. But what we've been doing and investigating is really augmenting the workforce, not eliminating, but dramatically speeding up how the development of skills and competencies within the cybersecurity space.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's just dig into it. Let's move on then. So augmenting and automating, we like that. So we have a couple of stories for you. Terry, do you want to kick us off? Some examples of people having used AI in these practices.
For one example is actually, if you from the AI space, training of robots in the real world. NVIDIA took 10 years of training data for robots, compressed it down to 2 hours. And then at that time, the AI, the actual robot, learns what it will normally have taken 10 years in 2 months, in 2 hours, actually, not 2 months. But we see that compression going on in thinking skills and all over the AI space. But what are we doing for our workforce? It takes years and expense to get up to speed, to become competent, and develop the skills. We think simulation can enable that dramatic speed up in the time it takes to become competent in cybersecurity. So yeah, we need a parallel to what's happening in AI with our talent.
And the key thing is like the whole thing with training data is essentially basically going through repetitions and reps, if you will. And simulation is essentially allowing those who participate in simulation to have a practical experience in a controlled or at least a safe environment, and generate reps. Have like as an athlete on the field during training camp right now in our upcoming football season, they're going through reps. With simulation, you can assess as opposed to filter out talent and identify skills and traits that you may not have actually been looking for, but you may discover that you may actually need. Now, I'd like to just touch on the additional topic that there's a talent pipeline, which is, you're feeding your workforce for your organization, or just, the economy, if you will, but the organization. Then there's also your workforce in your company. That same training activity and simulation activity is beneficial there. And what Terry and I have been really trying to champion is that, companies know best who they need to seek when they know best who they already have. And having that ability to like simulation and do an internal assessment, if you will, not for a pejorative sense per se, but to understand what capabilities you have, what gaps you may have, and then what gaps you need to fill in terms of talent outside, and then use that same methodology or similar methodology to define such people. It's a more seamless and a much better approach than to simply just getting some keywords and filtering out people and firing all of HR.
What's different about simulation compared to other assessment method is it's experiential simulation. Is you're actually doing performing the acts we can show critical thinking, planning, those soft skills, and actually knowledge, know-how of concepts in cybersecurity.
Yeah.
And
actual,
not necessarily
actual behavior.
Yeah, actual behavior driven versus a test or watching some videos, which are standard now for assessments and training.
Absolutely. So what we're coming around to here is skills-based hiring. So has anyone heard of the term skills-based hiring? Good things and not so great things. Has anyone tried it out? Do people know what it is? If you can just let us know in the chat, that'd be great, because I'm going to talk about it. So skills-based, especially in the field of cybersecurity, it means a lot of different things. It depends in what room you are and who you're talking to. But as a broad sort of umbrella term, we're saying a lot of IT jobs, but also some of these more emerging spaces like cyber insurance and e-discovery and all sorts of compliance that we're starting to see with new regulation coming in. Let's have a look. Yes, on skills-based hiring. Fabulous. Thank you, Debbie. So when I say skills-based hiring, it's exactly what it sounds like, hiring someone based on the skills that they demonstrate. And so in this space, we have capture the flag competitions. You can see if someone has offensive and defensive capabilities. Can they work as part of a team? Can they communicate? And you're seeing this combination here of technical skills, so specific, related to a job, but also these professional skills. I don't call them soft skills because I don't think there's anything soft about them. So these professional skills are things like problem solving, teamwork, all this kind of stuff. So these experiential events, capture the flags, hackathons, policy competitions, it's a really good way to get candidates out doing things. Any other thoughts on skills-based hiring? Because we have this, this technique for hiring, and we also at the same time have the skills gap. The cybersecurity skills gap. Oh goodness, we're not going to fill these jobs. So we looked at some data from a labor market analytics platform. The skills gap is not insurmountable. It can be bridged, but helping hiring managers and recruiters identify talent is difficult. And are these skills the kind of thing that we're going to automate away with AI? So we broke it down. My project covers Virginia, Maryland, DC. Virginia, top 5 skills in the skills gap. These are the skills we don't have according to job descriptions in the market. Virginia, risk management, Azure, Linux, Agile, Nessus. Maryland, information assurance, programming, routing, assembly, Wireshark. And DC, Azure, network security, PowerShell, Bash, and intrusion prevention systems. So it's not that we don't know how to teach this stuff. It's just that, are these skills going to be automated away? That is the question. So does anyone have any thoughts on that? Because I do say this as a provocation to see what you think of this, because it's worth having these difficult conversations to get a more realistic perspective of what the market is looking like right now. So Nick, Leslie, Debbie, I'd love to hear your responses, or to read your responses, as may be the case. Okay, we'll let you think on it. So while we let you think on it, I'd like to talk about, let's dig into the skills gap. So I gave you lots of information, I talked at you a lot, but here it is in a nice table, and here's a cute little poster. So this is all based on the labor market data. Like this stuff isn't, we don't have to be so pessimistic about it. This is definitely something that we can approach. I represent a university, an educational institution. We are part of this talent pipeline. Right, there's people before me on this line, and there are people after me in this space. So this is what I mean when I talk about a skills gap. I mean something that is a challenge, but it is a challenge that we can address. It does require coordination and collaboration across sectors. So again,
Well,
I'm going to take a pause there. Terry, Erfaan, any thoughts?
Well, from research, there was recently a published study by Stanford University that had a scale of 1 to 5 about which task and job roles will be automated versus augmented, and a lot of the skills gap identified in Virginia, Maryland, DC, most bash script, assembly, these things can be automated away. So we see, and the Stanford University study actually brought home, is that lower level tasks should be automated away, and the skills and competency needed for the workforce will migrate to a higher human to human sector. So you must have base knowledge, but you need to do planning, coordination. Those skills are going to be much more in demand with AI. But I would also say evaluation, understanding what the AI is doing. People will become supervisors of AI, not so much. They won't be replaced by AI. Tasks will be replaced, but not the role. The role may evolve, and I think those roles in Virginia, Maryland, DC, we'll see over the coming months and years that they'll be migrated slowly to what we're thinking is governance, risk, and compliance areas.
Yeah, and there's a comment in the chat about augmenting, and I thought, now that you show the food for thought page or slide, I think those are I would recommend that viewer to check out these papers and others on this presentation, because as Terry mentioned, whenever there has been any kind of automation, some things do just go away. We all know that. Some tasks do go away. That's the whole point of it. But the issue, though, is that with that automation, there's then new roles and new needs that emerge to supervise or to partner with that automating entity, in this case AI versus a machine. And so what we're looking at is simulation is an opportunity, or provides an opportunity for workforce and workflow and processes to be for people to identify and determine how those two can complement each other in the given scenarios. so that you're hiring not simply just based on some skill set and then trying to patch it in to an actual organizational need and after the fact, but you're actually tailoring your workforce and your technology and your processes together hand in hand in complementary fashion, and then also within the organization, and then also seeking talent likewise to fill those gaps that you identify.
The thing that simulation gives you is actually more than anything is you get to see not only your talent pool and assess it, but also you get to assess your processes and your organizational processes. For instance, tabletop. We already have somewhat of a simulation with manual tabletops, but we envision going into the future. You'll use AI as partners in your learning about your organizational processes, and that plays right into cybersecurity, governance, risk, and compliance areas.
Yeah, and I think that's a nice way of entry point for me. Like I always like to say the phrase with I remember with Arianna early on, like we're shifting left. I mean, it's one thing to sort of match a talent to certain job descriptions, but we're shifting left where organizations need to actually know themselves more a little bit in the process of trying to seek talent to fill the roles that they think and responsibility that they think they need to be filled. A lot of times they'll put out job descriptions. And I know Arianna has been a champion of this. They'll put out job descriptions that with roles and responsibilities. Who matches that? Who knows? If they find someone who matches that, great. They put them in. Is that what they're really looking for? I don't know. It turns into a big spooky mess.
Yes, absolutely. Let's take a couple of steps back because we are in this so deep. We do not assume that you as the audience are as deep as we are. So let's just take a couple of steps back. Okay. Is the skills gap going to be automated away? Is everything terrible? Well, not really. So what we're talking about here, what Terry and Erfaan are saying, is that jobs will still exist, but what those jobs look like will be slightly different. And as someone who works in a university, I'm seeing employers that they're saying to me, like, I need someone who can organize, who can manage their time, get these professional skills as well that complement sort of the more technical abilities. And so this is the slide we were just on. We're just going to step one back. This is our food for thought. These are the things we want to discuss with you. Will AI automate away entry-level jobs? Well, we don't think so. And here's why. Because AI can help with decision-making and reduce cognitive overload. So it might be helpful as part of an organizational process, such as hiring. But, hiring is one thing within a much bigger strategic agenda. Business is moving from static tools to adaptive platforms. We're seeing a paradigm shift. So we'll go into each of these bullet points in more detail. But just to give you an overview of where this is going, tech innovation is going to require talent innovation. If companies are using more AI as just tools, we need to hire people who aren't scared necessarily by those tools, or will try them out, or at least familiar with them, perhaps. And so finally, widening the candidate aperture. You might have heard this in terms of widening the pool, the recruitment pool. This is necessary, and we can use AI to help. It's not that we're replacing, it is much more of this. Who was it who chose augmenting? Debbie. Augmenting. It's much more about augmenting what we can do as people. So the AI helping with decision making and reducing overload is our starting point here. This study is interesting. So on the right, we have a nice blog post. We have all the links. We'll share them out. And on the left here is the research paper. Any questions, thoughts, Terry, Erfaan, before we move on?
Well, I'll just say that it's not, we're not only relying on one research paper. It's a new field, so expect more research to be ongoing and published. But this is one of it's given the pedigree of the institution and the collection of scientists here. I mean, it's a pretty good one.
Yeah, the thing is to reduce automation. When they say automation, they generally talk about the task. I think reducing cognitive load in cybersecurity, particularly, we have a lot of burnout issue. Is we want to reduce the monotony of going from system to system and trying to discover or figure out analytics for what's going on within your environment. But also, I think simulation is to help you make a decision around risk and compliance. And that's where our focus is with this. We've taken the NIST framework, and we've used that with our AI to build AIs that will be simulations to help you make decisions. And we can improve over time, hopefully, the quality of your organization's and individual decision making.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So let's move on for now. So the next point I wanted to talk about is this paradigm shift. And I think Astrolytes has more of an eye on this than we do here. But we're moving from these static tools to adaptive platforms. Terry, Erfaan, please take it away.
SaaS tools are deterministic.
Deterministic.
Basically, they're built on the premise of making your workforce productive. But we're moving beyond productivity now to a more interactive learning environment where AI augments you. It's not productivity tools that have AI usually are bolted onto existing paradigm. One of the classic example, I study history of technology, and one example is before the engine. There was horses and carriages, but they bolted on the engine to the carriage, and the horsepower, literally named after the horse, the engine would actually run and would move at such a pace that the wagon would fall apart. So I think what we're seeing now is a lot of bolt-on to existing learning management system processes, AI, and some of it is very useful, but AI native applications, we believe, are simulations that really enable decision making. I guess you can say before you put a decision into production, you imagine you give all this thought process in your head, but if you could think or work with the AI or simulation before you kind of beta test it or before you put it into production, as we talk about in software and systems engineering. That's the role of we believe of simulation, and there will be simulations in many verticals of the economy.
Absolutely. I'd actually like to draw us into the chat just for a second. Leslie, what are your thoughts? Will use of AI for tasks typically assigned to newbies negatively impact the development or experience building of those newbies? So will the use of AI for tasks we usually give to new people so they can learn the space, will that use of AI impact the development or the experience of those newbies? I think that's an interesting question, and I think it requires some serious thinking around what your training programs are going to be and what mentoring looks like. What do you think, Terry, Erfaan?
Well, we were in keeping with the discussion on SaaS. SaaS, as Terry and I like to talk about, SaaS is a deterministic sort of landscape. AI is more probabilistic. So it's interactive, and AI is responsive. The AI simulation is one that is an environment where that is responsive to the person involved, and then is adaptive. So in terms of being negative, I'm not sure where the negativity comes out per se. It's not about filtering, but about understanding and seeing where there's potential skills gap or.
Well, the negativity may be AI is probabilistic, so if it requires some knowledge or AI at this current development phase and the earliest deployment life cycle requires some expertise or knowledge in a domain area, so that you can easily spot the quote hallucination of the AI, and that's or you develop systems like we're trying to do is get community feedback, and that way you're getting expert transfer of knowledge to the AI's simulations to train the workforce. And that's what we believe in, creating a open source simulation library that will serve both the talent side and employers that will
Yeah, and it's grounded in the NIST NICE framework too, so it's already parameterized, if you will,
Yes.
standards.
In the classroom, right? So one example, the example I'll bring here is in the classroom. I ask my students to write something. If they give me the output of an AI thing, and it's even got the prompt in there, if I get that as a submission, that's not gonna fly. So it's an opportunity to have conversations with early career / students or people who are new, saying what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. So a lot of this is still, it's not even the technology really, it's about the people and the processes that these people are coming into and being trained by. So I don't want to, I think we could talk about this for a really long time, but I'd like to move on to the how do we as leaders ensure we're developing talent knowing they won't get that same hands-on that many of us had.
Well, and that's the one thing, because like the whole point of simulation is to provide a virtual environment for getting some kind of hands-on training.
Yeah.
And then, like I said before earlier about reps, you can do it at high volume per se. And the other thing is, in terms of who you're doing it with, you alone, you as part of a team, bunch of teams working together. It depends on how you want to craft it. And the way we're developing it is such that it doesn't have to be a single user at a time, but it can be multi-user.
Yes. Multi-user simulations.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's move on for now. Because we have a quick question for the audience. What is one outdated hiring practice you would like to retire? Throw it out the window. Get rid of absolutely. So we'll give it maybe 30 seconds and then we'll move on. But what is one outdated hiring practice that you would like to retire? I can tell you what mine is, just while the audience are collecting themselves. So I don't know if it's outdated, but one of the biggest things that I see my students going through is they just won't get any feedback. They'll submit an application and it'll just be radio silence. So that is a practice that I would love to see disappear. Like, I know that there is some liability issues with sometimes providing feedback, but I don't think it would be impossible for us to figure out some kind of way to just say, yes or no. Because a lot of the time it's just nothing. It's a complete void that they're jumping into.
Yeah,
so that's mine.
I'd like to piggyback, and we were talking about that before, and I'll share with the audience. I see that there's a clear friction point. It creates in some way almost like an asymmetry of information problem within this marketplace for talent. And talent without feedback doesn't know, in a sense, how it needs potentially to adjust, which area it needs to go to.
One use case we're interested in is taking a job description and say and a particular role and say, okay, this will require this level of competency. So we can maybe put a simulation, create several simulations of that job role instead of these job roles which span multiple systems and areas that maybe a few people in the world may know how to may have domain expertise in all these systems that they're asking for in the job description. And we see job descriptions being way over, and that discourages talent from applying for those jobs.
Yeah, let's get to it. Yeah, absolutely. We've got a whole thing on that. Nick, I know that you said you were hiring experienced consultants. I'd be really interested to hear or see in the chat what you think about this, because it's a different perspective. So this is really just bouncing off of you, Terry, like what you're talking about. Here we go. Like it's a very full slide, but basically we wrote this guidance for employers. How do you write skills-based job descriptions? And so you say, what skills do I need, right? Instead of a list of 20, maybe 5 or just less than 20. And the NICE framework, if you haven't come across it, is a big old Excel list, and it groups different work roles. So if you're into operational stuff, it'll give you a list of what we generally expect from operations people. So you can use that to identify your key skills, and you can put this in the job description, and then you can use that as a grading rubric to assess candidates. And it is based on skill. So it means that you're bringing to widen this hiring pool or to open up the aperture, you're listing the skills, which means that people from alternative routes, people who don't have degrees or come from community colleges or whatever it is? Do you need the university requirement? If so, okay, but you can justify that. What are the skills that you want to see? What are the skills that are going to take your business or your client's business to the next level? So this is the guidance. I'm going to just pause there.
So what I'll jump in, and to piggyback what you said, Arianna, I mean, like, a little more specifically, like, basically the NICE framework essentially talks about the task, knowledge, and skills that an individual needs to be able to do and know in order to accomplish any NIST function for that relates to any NIST cybersecurity function as it relates to any asset in your organization, whether your network, your systems, whatever it is. So this is how you handle it. That's great. So I know these are my skills and knowledge and tasks I need to do. Fantastic. However, the job description never really talks about the job to be done, you know, and that's what you're really hiring someone to do. You're hiring someone to help with handling jobs to be done. And simulation, the GRC simulation space that we're talking about, that allows you to focus. Yeah, okay, job description, these are tasks and skills, keep it on like on the side, but these are the jobs to be done. I need you to be able to accomplish. Let's say whether you're looking for talent or even within your organization, and you're just trying to get your team to align with its processes, align its own knowledge set, its own technology dependencies. Yeah, collaborate.
Absolutely. And so in this paper, so this is a white paper. Again, we can send out the links. At the end of this whole document is a worked example. One of our committee members was from Google, and so she took it back with her team, and they went through this. So there is a worked example of, I think they had an existing job description, and they just went through it and applied the guidance here. So there is an example of it. I mean, white papers should be useful. You know, we're not just writing this just to jump and shout into the void. That's not how I do my research, and it's not how this work with Astrolytes has gone. So this slide is very full, but it's basically saying understand what the business needs. And if you don't understand what the business needs, why on earth are we spending all this money? Because hiring is not cheap. So I think that's all from me. I see we have something from Leslie. Sometimes it can be a challenge to get recruiting teams to pull talent that don't have all the keywords that match the job description. Oh, interesting. So the recruiting team won't pull talent that doesn't tick everything. Okay. And sometimes the right fit is someone with the capacity to rock the role versus experience in the role. I love that. What do you think?
And that's great. I think exactly what we're talking about with simulation. It may not be totally cybersecurity fundamental skills based, but you can do simulations that show the capability to collaborate, to plan, and have maybe strong in organizational skills, but you can upskill later or upskill along the way. And I think what we want to do is over time build a individual to build a portfolio that they can use to apply for a job that augments the existing keyword filtering systems. That's what our vision is for the future in cybersecurity. Is really kind of both sides, the talent side and the employer side, augmenting the ability to connect.
And I would like to add, like, the capacity to rock the role. That's basically like knowing the capacity to be able to get to the job to be done, or understand and handle the job to be done.
Yes,
that's what you're really hiring for, right? And that's what you're staffing and augmenting your team for. So
it is understanding. Absolutely. So it's understanding what the business objectives are, because security does need to support those instead of block them, right?
Yes.
So
right.
I really like the let's move on for now, just because we're low on time.
Yeah.
But again, the example, so in that white paper, there is an example. So in the worked example, they identify the skills and they identify like the level. I think they use 3. One is sort of entry level, one is mid, one is senior. But do you need someone who can program up to the eyeballs and communicate to your exec committee? It's unlikely. Like, it's unlikely that for, I don't know, early to mid, you'll need someone like that. But sometimes you do, genuinely. And so it's about standardizing from the job description to the grading rubric, because often, you know, these processes can work between different teams. Some companies third-party out hiring processes. You're using recruiters, you're using other people. So giving them a very, very clear, having that clarity in what you provide, we start to reduce the cost, because I mean money, I mean time, I mean patience of everyone involved. So
Yes.
I'll get off that soapbox. What does this mean for cybersecurity? The NICE framework, in the chat, if you could, audience, have you heard of the NICE framework? Just let us know while I go through this. So this is a framework that offers a list of skills. It's a resource that you, yes, you can access. What someone in the chat said. Yeah. Okay. Many hiring teams are also looking for professional skills. So this is really anecdotal. We're looking at IT workforce studies as well, but it's time management, organization, teamwork. Can they write an email in a professional or halfway professional manner? Well, what if you could assess both? The answer to that is, well, you can assess both. And this is a field where this is already established. We already have hands-on showcases where people demonstrate technical and professional skills. And I mean technical like policy technical, or computer science technical, or risk assessment, whether it's financial, fiscal stuff, or if it's a different sort of, whatever it is. We have examples of events that measure this. Hackathons, sort of a science fair, you see what they're innovating and building as you walk around. Tabletop exercises are more scenario focused. A lot of people do those in-house as well. Capture the flag competitions and of course policy competitions. So that's what we think. Would you add anything, Terry, Erfaan?
No, it sounds like you covered everything for the most part. Yeah, it's experiential in nature versus I think we have to get beyond the two-dimensional paper of this is the person and all that it encompasses. In some ways, AI will afford us more time to interact with each other, and that those skills are going to become more and more valuable. And we'll have the lower level tasks automated, but I think the NICE framework and other NIST standards gives us a pathway to embed that in. We created AI frameworks to build a platform that we hope will enable this more collaborative face-to-face efforts going forward.
Yeah. Just to note, because the chat's really it has gotten quite busy. Leslie, it'll be interesting to see if at some point we can leverage AI to quickly review candidate video submissions to flag traits, ideas, sentiments, soft skills that would make a great fit in an unbiased way. My challenge to you, Leslie, is that AI is not unbiased ever. There are always biases. So I have students telling me about video, you submit a video and AI. So then what's the first thing that I would do if I had to do an AI video interview? I would Google, what do I need to do? And all of the advice is be neutral, don't show your personality, unless the guidance says, hey, show that you have some personality. Well, I don't know what algorithm's behind it as a candidate, so I really don't know how to get the job. So I think that that's a really interesting question, and I would love to see a comparative analysis of that and what the relevant, appropriate, and useful guidance would be both on an employer implementing that and a candidate going through that process. Okay, let's just move on. Leslie is familiar with NICE, fantastic. Nick, Debbie, haven't heard about it. It is quite literally an Excel sheet. There's been a lot of work. Edna is on the call. She has been involved in versions 1 and 2. So we really have a mixed bag today.
She's an expert.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'm glad you could come, Edna. And so Edna also says, using the NICE framework to help students understand how their cyber threat intelligence skills fit into cybersecurity.
Sure.
That's so important. And it's part of the project that we're doing is a Find Your Fit initiative. So we work with another company. We do, how do you think? And also, how do you perform? What are your strengths? What's your aptitude? And so that is part of the bigger project that we're doing, but we don't need to, I won't distract us with diving into that. I think we have one more slide. Terry, Erfaan, anything to add as we wrap up?
I think we're just a little short on time, so
we'll have other webinars or roundtables hopefully in the near future. Okay,
let's wrap then. So really, this is an invitation, right? So join us, spread the word. We're trying to build a collection of these simulations using skills from the NICE framework. We really are looking for people to try it out. We have an information session next week. Drop me an email. This is my project email address. It's an info session, so you don't have to necessarily do anything, but if you're curious about this, if our approach to sort of AI and augmentation within organizational practice is interesting, useful, relevant, you see that there's a spark here and you can maybe help us with anything really. Evaluations, that kind of thing. So I can write as many research and white papers as I like, but unless there's engagement with people who would put this into practice, then the research doesn't really have legs.
Yeah, and we'd like to have people eventually touch the platform through try, for feedback, trial and error, etc.
Yeah, we don't want to. We aren't developing in a void. This isn't a system or software you just throw it in. It can be customized to any organization.
Absolutely. And so I think just to finish off, our project outputs are here. So the project is about access. How do you make routes into the field, right? And so the field, as it's expanded into different business functions like legal, IT and engineering and business, how are we doing this? And so a lot of our outputs are at this link here. We have a bunch of things. We have a candidate guide to getting the job. We have an employer guide, another employer guide. And we're really thinking about people think and process information in different ways. So how are we catering to the neurodiversity of the candidate pool as well? And then, of course, I'll pass it to Elizabeth to let us know what's coming up with the Cyber Guild. So I would like to sign off to say thank you, everyone, for coming. We've just had another couple of comments. The project I mentioned is my project, the Modernizing Talent Management Project. I would like to say thank you very much for having us all, and I'll pass it to Astrolytes and then Elizabeth to wrap. Thank you.
Thank you for attending our webinar, our roundtable. Erfaan and I are really, really blessed with being able to collaborate with Arianna and Virginia Tech and just the community. And the Cyber Guild, great people, great organization that anyone should follow and keep in touch. We will be having other talks, demos related to our cyber simulations in the near future.
Yeah, and we're really interested in having people, touch and feel. So this is not something that's just solely on the screen in this webinar. But so please, we would like to hear from you and stay in touch, and hopefully we can broadcast these ideas
to a much broader audience.
Yeah, to a much broader audience.
AI is not about replacing people. I think it augments, not replaces.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much to Astrolytes. Thank you to Virginia Tech. This has been great. Like Arianna said, we do have a lot of other events coming up, including a book club this Thursday evening in downtown DC, as well as a series of webinars based off an event we recently had called Cyber Connect, if you're looking to transition in your career. So please check out our website for all of those upcoming events. And thank you so much and have a great day.